What's up, Gene Squad? Welcome back to the Gene Scene, your daily dose of genetics. I am your host, Noah Quechin, and today we're going to be reacting to something you've all wanted me to see. It's a video from about a year ago, made by a user that goes by the name of The Average Joe. He's well known for his handyman videos, but apparently he's dabbled into some genetics, and you all want me to see what's going on. Let's get started. Hey all, it's your Average Joe, back with a brand new video for you all. Today is something quite special, as I'm going to be sharing with you something that may potentially save you money, or even better, your life. Now listen carefully. My wife and I, sadly, have recently run into a major stressor. We found out that her father has Huntington's disease. Oof, that is terrible. Huntington's is a ruthless disease. It's classified as neurodegenerative, and it primarily attacks the frontal lobe of the brain. This lobe is responsible for things like emotion, critical thinking, speaking, and most importantly, primary motor functions, meaning the disease will damage all abilities of voluntary movement, which, the disease itself isn't deadly, but can cause deadly events to happen. For example, the frontal lobe has control over the muscles in the jaw, so a mix-up of swallowing could cause a patient to choke. Unfortunately, Huntington's disease is genetic, meaning there currently is no cure for it, and worst of all, the gene that codes for it is dominant in the allele, meaning your child has a 50% chance of inheriting this death sentence. It also means that she may be under the risk of inheriting it. So, we went to a specialist to get a DNA screening done to determine whether or not she's got the disease. But when we got there, oh my lord, y'all, that price was way too high. And as the handyman I am, I knew there was a better way to do this. Oh boy, that is not a good mentality. Huntington's disease is not something to be taken lightly. Those tests were the most effective way and sure way to make a proper diagnosis. Any other methods, being truthful, won't be 100% accurate. So after some Googling, I came across this video by this guy who goes by the Gene Scene, who spoke about this website known as Blast, where I could check for matches between her DNA and someone who does have Huntington's. Blast? Oh no, that is not good. If he hadn't have just scanned through my videos and actually watched it, he would have learned about the immense number of limitations that come along with Blast. There's a reason that I only recommended Blast to experienced genetic specialists, especially if he's searching for Huntington's, as is notoriously referred to as an incredibly difficult disease to diagnose. The most effective and sure way to make the diagnosis was the previous test. This is not an effective way. The odds of this being wrong are very, very high. There's a lot of risks that come into play when we consider using Blast. Let's see what he does. I scanned through the video and figured it was worth a shot, so I arranged to conduct my search. I found that I only am going to need a small fragment of DNA. Oh boy, it only gets worse. A fragment? That is the worst possible way of identifying Huntington's. But why? Because Huntington's is an insertion or duplication mutation which revolves around a trinucleotide CAG or KEG, which is repeatedly placed in a line along the Huntington's gene. If the fragment isn't long enough, you won't be able to identify if there's a mutation on the original gene or not. This is something I've encountered in my own work, and although I cannot disclose any personal information about the individual, I can tell you that I was in the exact same position. At the time, I was studying at the New York General Hospital, where I was given a fragment of an individual's DNA who was worried about a probable cause of Huntington's. Now I searched and searched through Blast, but my fragment only showed me 20 KEG repeats, and it just kind of cut off abruptly. Keeping in mind that a negative test has about 26 or less KEG repeats, and a positive test has over 40. So even if I had an 100% match to a current gene, there's no guarantee to know what came after my fragment, or how many KEG repeats would follow. But however though, during my study, it is worth noting that there was a small detail. At the end of my fragment, there was a singular C, and that signifies that there could have been additional KEG repeats after this point. But in the end, we never actually came to a conclusion based on our Blast results. We had to take this for DNA screening of another method. Because Huntington's is such a serious and life-changing disease, I had to be sure before I made a diagnosis. Blast helped me narrow down the results in the sense that it showed me relevancy to what I was looking for. Allowing me to see that there was at least some resemblance between my sequence and a mutation sequence, it gave me a good starting ground, but it was nothing to make final conclusions with. This is something we have to be very delicate with and very careful. Let's keep going. And thanks thankfully for me, I have got a friend who works in a genetics lab. So I rang up my buddy, and I asked him for the fragment off a piece of hair that I sent him. And although he may not be the greatest at his job, he owes me. After all those repairs I've done for him, the guy does owe me. Anywho, he sent me the fragment, and I've got it here. Entered into the blast, and it instantly gave me my results. But before I share them with you, I just gotta say, this website is so easy to use. He's not wrong here. Blast is great for this, and that's actually referred to as the E-value, and the score and ranking is based off of that. It's a measure of the chance that this result appeared at random. It usually ranges anywhere from 0.5 to about like 0.0000000. You get the point. But since these results all have super low E-values, they're incredibly significant. And this is actually a great trait about Blast because it allows you to see the relevance and significance of your matches. Because otherwise, you could get matches that are just appearing by random chance and actually have no relevancy to what you're looking at. Let's keep going. All I needed to do was drop my fragment in and look at what it shows me. All these results in order, there's similarities to my fragment. And look here, the top result, Huntington's negative. Let's click it, and bang, 100% match. My wife is clear, baby. This is such a relief. We can now... No. That can't be. It says Huntington's negative, but there's more than 40 KEGG repeats there. And in his own fragment, there's more than 40 KEGG repeats. That's not right. That's a positive result. His wife does have Huntington's. Oh my goodness. Someone must have tampered with the results. This must be some form of cyber attack to make misdiagnosis attempts, because Blast, it isn't entirely reliable. It comes down to a subjectiveness of its user submitted input, which is why I recommended that you needed to have some kind of background in the world of genetics so you don't make these mistakes. Oh my goodness, and it's been a year since that video was released. I can only imagine what's happened in that time. Joe, if you're watching this, whatever just happened, whatever does happen, if you do need ever advice, ever again, do not threat to come to me. I will help you, and I will ensure that the response is correct and effective. Start our family safely and happily. But before I sign off here, I just need to point out the awesomeness of this website. It was 100% free, saving me money for our baby, as well as being super simple for an old chump like myself. Anywho, this has been Average Joe. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I'll see you in the next one. Bean Squad, that's gonna wrap up this video, and I would expect for you guys at least to see more videos from me about this topic, because this is something I cannot let this rest. There are so many ethical, social, and legal issues that come in here with this technology and the manipulating of it. Because realistically, who owns Blast? What is going on behind the scenes? Who can access and mess with these Blast entries? This is stuff we will be discussing in the videos to come. Stay tuned.